In today's lesson, we are going to continue learning and practicing how to use the decision blocks in Scratch. Now, in last lesson, we looked at how we use the repeat blocks, and we all understand how to use the repeat blocks. The repeat blocks are forever, repeat, or repeat until. Then we started looking at the decision blocks, which are if, then, and if, then, else. Now, I will quickly just remind you how those blocks look. And the Scratch decision blocks are if, then has just two parts, if and then. Now, I want you to take note of this diamond shape in here. This is where you put your condition. This is where you put your condition. For example, remember when we looked at the diagram of the AC, is it hot? You see, it's a diamond. That is what the condition is. Is it hot? If it is yes, we switch on the AC. If it is no, we switch off the AC. So on the if block, this is where the condition goes. It's where the question goes. So I could say, if it is hot, then I would say switch on the AC. So that is if then. If then gives you only one option. If it is hot, what do? You switch on the AC. But it doesn't tell you what to do if it's not hot. If you want to have two options, then you use the if, then, else block. The if, then, else blocks gives you a second option. So if the if the room is hot, then here, this white place, we switch on the AC. Otherwise, meaning if it's not hot, that's why we use else. Else means otherwise. It means what if it is not? Then we can say switch off the AC. So I will repeat that. If the room is hot, then switch on the AC. Else, switch off the AC. That means if the room is hot, put the AC on. But if it is not, which is else means if it's not, then you get there. So today, we are going to practice how to use if, then, else. If, then, else. And to do that, we're going to look at how it applies in our decision making in our conditions. So we're going to look at another condition block. We're going to practice more how to use our condition blocks, and we are going to look at if, then, else in details. So this is my decision diagram, and I'm still using the AC again. Is it hot? Meaning, is my room hot? Now, this is the if it is hot. If, meaning it is the condition in the room. It is the question. You can write this as, is it hot? Or is the room hot? If the room is hot, which is yes, then, can you see that? Then switch on the AC. So I can say, if room is hot, then switch on the AC. But if it is not, that is what we say else, or else what do? You switch off the AC. So else works for when the answer is no, and then works for the answer when it is yes. If we go to our task for last week, I will just go through that very fast so that people who are a bit confused will understand. The task for last week was very, very simple. Your job was to your job was to create a set of scripts. There was a group of scripts that Ms. Bohr gave, and I already gave you a scratch game that already had sprites. So for the rat, you were to create 3 scripts. One of them was this, and this has no if-then. And it does not have repeat. And then the next one was this long one. For the same sprite, the rat, you were also to make these codes. Now on this code, you have one loop. The loop is repeat and tell. Your job was simply to copy these scripts and then see how they work. The next script was small, but it had another loop forever, but it also had if then. So we were just trying to introduce ourselves to how if then and how forever and repeat works. So last lesson was for you just to get the feel. That's why Ms. Bohr gave you the scripts. You were not meant to create any on your own. You were to just copy the ones I had given you. Then for you to test your knowledge or your understanding, after you had done all that, then you were to try and create the codes or the script for the grasshopper on your own. Now, you'll understand this better if I take you to the scratch work we were doing. So Ms. Bohr gave you a game that she had started making. Your job was to improve it. So this was, you had the sprites, you had the rat, you had the hawk, and you had the grasshopper. All this was done for you. Your job was to then copy the scripts that I gave on this. Your job was to copy the scripts. Your job was to copy these scripts here. Your job was to copy these scripts here onto the game here. So if I was programming the rat, I was meant to go and copy the scripts for the rat. If I'm programming the hawk, I was to copy the scripts for the hawk. So that was simply what you meant to do. You meant to copy my script, and then after that, the grasshopper was not programmed. So you were meant to think, this is how I programmed my grasshopper. Mine is very complex, but yours is probably very simple. So the grasshopper, you had to create your own. The mouse, I gave you the script for the hawk. This was the script for the hawk, and they were all in the slide. So I hope if you had a confusion with that, you now understand. And don't worry, we just started using these blocks. The more we use them, the more you will understand. We are going to use if-then blocks to create a quiz. If I want to ask questions and get answers, how do I do that? So we are going to start with that. I have my sprite, which is the rat. My sprite is the cat, and that is the only sprite I'm going to use. Now I'm going to create a script that will enable me to ask this cat will enable this cat to ask me questions, and then I will respond to the questions. Let's see how that works. I will first go and look for my if-else block. Today we are practicing using if-else. I go to control, and I have all of them. We used if, then. Now, if I want to use if, then else, then I drag this here. So we are using the if, then else block. Remember, if, the question goes inside this diamond. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask my card to ask me my name. So what I do first is I go to the sensing blocks and I use the block that says ask, what is your name? And I put it here. So I start by asking. So the first thing I do is ask, what is your name? Then I start giving the conditions. If the person says Mary, if the person says Bor, then it is correct. But if they say another name, then it is wrong, it is incorrect. So that is the condition. So the first question is, what is your name? And I'm going to say, if Bor, then it's correct. So how do I put this condition? I go to operators. These are the two new blocks we're looking at today, operators and sensing. So I go to operators, pick the one that says blank equals to 50. Blank equals to 50. We will wrap that 50 and put it here. It should actually be blank equals to blank. Why? Because I'm going to put what I choose. So I will go through that again. You start by asking the question. And then you set the condition. What is my answer, or what do I do if the answer is this? So I will now here go and I look for answer. Where do I find answer? I go back to sensing and I take this block that says answer. Remember, you've been asked a question. A question is followed by an answer. So the question, the condition is, if the answer equals to Bor. I will repeat there. I ask a question, what is your name? Then the person starts to think, and I'm thinking, if they give me my name, then they'll be correct. If they give me another name, it will be wrong. So I say, if their answer equals to Bor, then I should say correct. How do I say correct? I go to the looks tool. That is where I get my dialogue. We've learned to use this before. And I take say hello for 2 minutes, but 2 seconds. But I'm going to change that. So I put say hello for 2 seconds. But I will change hello to Bor. So the question is, what is your name? If the answer equals to Bor, then say, don't say Bor, say correct. Say correct for 2 minutes. What if they type another name? Like they type a name like Jack. Else, meaning if they type something else, then I need to say wrong. In this case, you don't have to think of all the crazy names they can think. You only need to know what is the correct one, and anything else is wrong. So if they say something that is not Bor, then I am going to say incorrect or wrong. So I will say wrong. So this is how my script works, and I will explain this again. You ask a question, and that is the question, and we wait. That's why it says ask and then wait. Now, the person is going to give you an answer. If the answer equals to Bor, then say correct. Else, meaning or else, if it's not Bor, then you say wrong. Now, this is my script. Now I have to look for the top of my script. We said a script always starts with an event block, and these are my event blocks here. I can either say when the green flag is clicked or when the space bar is pressed, I love to use when the green flag is clicked. So I bring it and I cover the top. Now this is my full script. This is my full script. So let's try and see if the cart and myself will communicate. So I click the flag. I want you to look here at the bottom here. It now gives me a place to type. The cart has asked, what is your name? I go and type Bob. And then I click the tick. The cart has said correct. Now, what if I click again and it asks, what is your name? And I type Jack. I'm going to type Jack. And I click this. Look at what the cart will say wrong. The cart says wrong. So today, what I want you to do is only focus on how to ask questions. That is your task for today. Creating a script that will ask questions. It can be any question. Once you do that, please take a screenshot of your screen like mine, the whole screen, and paste it in the Google slide that I have put in your Google Classroom and hand it in. So the only thing you're handing in for classwork is the script that asks the question. You have homework. The homework is for you to try and apply this in your game. Remember, we are creating a game for our summative assessment. Think about how you can use this questioning in your game so that you have a character that asks questions. And the questions must have to do with the skill you're learning. Remember, our game is meant to teach a skill. If it's a spelling game, you probably have the cart saying, spell the word but. And then someone types but, and it will say correct or wrong. This could be a very simple game for those people who've been struggling on what game they should create for their summative assessment. You can just decide, maybe it's multiplication, maybe it's spelling, and then you create many scripts that give you the correct spelling. So when you're done with that homework, again, take a screenshot of the new script you've done on your summative assessment game and post it on the slide in the homework. I hope you understand. If you don't understand and you need help, please send me a message in Google Classroom and I'll try to